Hi everyone. I've been spending a lot of time in this shed. I'm working towards making it a woodworking shop, and I'll probably have a desk in here. Anyway, I thought I'd film tonight's video in here just because of how much I've been enjoying being in this space. It's been a while since I've done a talk, and that's what's been on my mind for tonight. What I wanted to spend the next few minutes with you is talking about ordering your priorities. Now, before I go into what I've got sort of on my mind, I want to first say this is not to condemn or make you feel bad if you start realizing that there are improvements that could be made. What I want to do is share what I try to do in my life, and I've been going through it with the shed as well, and I want to give it to those who are needing it as a skill set, as something that you can better yourself with. So I don't want you to feel bad or feel disappointed with yourself if you suddenly realize there's a different way of doing things. So what I've got on my computer is a widescreen monitor, and in the bottom left hand corner I've got a notepad, a Windows notepad that I always leave open. And what I do is use that as my to-do list. So it's basically the size of a 4x6 photo, and it's just a point form list, and I can look at it and realize that something's been on the list for a while that needs to get bumped up to the top. And what it does is helps me keep myself focused and helps me get through a few tasks each day where my legs are not holding me back. So what it means is if I feel sort of weak in the morning, what it means is not defaulting to playing a video game or defaulting to spending the day watching YouTube videos. If I'm feeling weak in the morning, a lot of the time what I'll do is spend 15 or maybe 20 minutes either reading something that I enjoy, like what's happening in aviation, or watching a few videos, but rigidly sticking with that 15 to 20 minute time frame, and then evaluating, do I need more rest? Could I do a few tasks and then rest? Or am I up for the day more or less? A lot of the times when I wake up first thing in the morning, it takes me a little bit to get going. So making a judgment call when I first get out of bed is not the wisest thing for me to do, or all I would do would be to spend my life in bed. So I need that 20 minutes or so to evaluate how I am, and just to make sure that if I am going back to bed, that it was needed. Then after that, so if I'm feeling okay but not great, then I might not go for the top thing on my to-do list. Like right now, the shed, getting this ready for doing the woodworking portion of my laser engraver. This is the number one thing on my to-do list right now. However, we have to look at the practical part of this as well. So there's issues in my hips, knees, and there's starting to be problems with my ankles. So I can't just do the shed, because if I do that, then it's going to be in a whole bunch of pain and then recovery, and pain, recovery, pain, recovery. And it just becomes its own life cycle almost. What I've found, if it interests you, is I can handle working out here for, I don't know, between 20 and 40 minutes. You do have to listen to your body when your body says stop, stop. But what I found is I could do 3 or so 20 to 40 minute gaps throughout the day, but not one longer one. But by doing this, there is progress made. Now, it's a different mindset for progress. What I mean is, you can't gauge how you're doing on the day-to-day. You need to really stretch it out to at least 5 days, if not a second week. And measure your progress over time. It's the same thing when you go through for physiotherapy. You're not going to be maybe doing better the second day, but if you measure the first day compared to the end of the second week, you should be able to see that there's been some progress made during that time frame. And it's the same thing when you take on a really big project, being able to subdivide it into its component parts. And even then, sometimes the component parts need subdividing. And then it's just kind of like building a bridge where you just start working at it a little bit at a time and it comes together. So what I'm trying to get at is, if you're watching this YouTube channel because you've got a physical disability, you can still take on a bigger project, but you need to be realistic with yourself on how much you do at a time, and to allow yourself the time you need for rest, recovery, sleep, and then all the stupid stuff of life, shower and making your bed, eating, time with friends, time to unwind before bed. So, if you were to make a quilt, you could start by making the individual pieces, like little squares, or even patterned squares, and then gradually grow it to where you got a whole quilt made. And yeah, it's going to take more time than someone else that's able-bodied, but your sense of satisfaction is going to be worth it if that's your thing. Maybe your thing is going and buying a bird watching guide, and then you have a goal that you try to check off a different bird, over several years, but on a regular basis, like once a week, you intentionally go out and you go bird watching, and that's because you like doing it, or you do it from spring to fall. What I want to get through to you is that life's not over, even if you need a wheelchair, or even if you're having a really hard time right now. I was out grocery shopping earlier, and I was talking to another woman, asked if she could reach to get Rocky some frozen mangoes. Rocky likes to have a little bit of mango with his breakfast. And she was reaching awkwardly and said to me, I fell and broke my shoulder, but the body cast is just so invasive that it wasn't practical, and I'm just minding how I'm doing. And I talked to her for a few minutes, and she said that she was finding the recovery from this exceptionally hard. And I certainly can see that. But if, what I've said to people before has been, if you're going through a hard time, make some notes of what you do in a day, and then put that page away and don't look at it, or put that file away on your computer and don't look at it, and go back, a week and a half or 2 weeks later, and think about what you've done and how far you've come during that time. It really does get hard measuring your progress on a day-to-day basis, and it's the long term, it's the marathon mindset that really wins out over the lifestyle that comes with this. Now, besides having the I'm doing good tasks, you need to also think about what your limits are. So for me with my legs, it basically means every other day it needs to be a quieter day or a computer day, or I take my wheelchair and I go down to the bay and I enjoy watching nature or whatever a quiet activity is going to be. So what I want you to get from it is to be strategically thinking about your life and patterns that do work and don't work. Now, I'm going to tell you straight up that if you're just starting on this journey or you've kind of hit a bump in the road, it may take you a few weeks to see what the new patterns are or what's a good match for right now. Like if you've just gone from your winter routine to your summer routine, you need to have the time and the grace with you to figure out and try, and it worked or it didn't work, and then changes, and then try again, and it worked a little bit better or it didn't work, and then figure out what it is that's a good match for you, and allow yourself the grace to acknowledge that you're your own person and you need to be living your best life. Not the life that your parent wants for you or coworkers may want for you, but what is going to be best in reality or in practice. This isn't to take away the goodwill of family members and colleagues at work. It's really hard for people who don't know the lifestyle to sort of speak into your life. What they can do, and what my friends do that do a really good job of, is being encouraging when I've reached sort of milestone progress. So for example, when I've been working in here, is that one in frame? Not out of frame. Can you see that? Yeah. So right here, friends were happy when I got this board up here. The equivalent of that is I've been going along, getting a few done each day. Or when I was cleaning up the most droppings that were in here, and I'd said, okay, most droppings on the east wall and the north wall back there are taken care of. They were glad that I had reached that milestone and were supportive of it, in fact. There's been times where it's properly bothered me when friends have come to me and say you look great. I mean, it's one thing where you can't see arthritis except sort of the pain in someone's face. For what it's worth, I do think part of the balance in this lifestyle is being willing to accept a compliment in the spirit in which it's given, and and be good with it, regardless if regardless if the day's not going that well, but that someone's taken the time to acknowledge progress over the longer term. I think the last thing that I want to just cover briefly, it doesn't have to be a to-do list on your computer, what I started with in this video. You may be someone that works better off a list, like buying yourself a notebook and writing down your goals. What I like about the computer is the cut and paste, and I can bring something up to the top if it's lingered on my list for so long. But really, having that list is what helps keep me focused, and really if you get into the broader pictures, what amounts to me getting things done. And I want to encourage you to figure out what that is for you, and then as you build your life around it, you work through and you put the effort in. This is one of those situations where the harder you work at it, the better it's going to come for you. And it doesn't mean that progress is either linear or exponential. It's taken me an awful lot to figure out how to do the different steps in here and where I needed someone to jump in that was able-bodied, to help me with the work in here. And if I'm honest with you, I do wish it was done right now. But if I think of where I've come from, back in, May or June, I mean, even looking around in here, I'm so much further ahead, even though there's a ways to go, than where I was at. And I think that's really the message I wanted to give you to chew over and try to make the best of for where you're at tonight. Okay, I hope each of you are doing well. I expect I've given you an awful lot to chew on. Part of why I've talked so long in this particular video was so for the people, everyone's at a different spot in their journey, so that you could grab what you need, and then other people will hear another part that grabs at them. Perhaps this is a video that you come back and watch a second time in 2 or 3 weeks from now, or in a week from now after you've had some time to reflect. Really, all I'm wanting to do is help equip you for life, and the best life that you can have that's possible. And I think the very final thing that I want to say to you is not to be in competition with anyone else, and instead live the best life that you can for yourself, with the support of friends and, when possible, family, and just be determined to make the best out of that life and to have satisfaction from what you're able to do instead of the 1,000 not be able to do's. Okay, thanks so much for the time that you spent with me today. I hope you're doing well. Bye for now.